Welcome back, everybody, to the Aaron's High Cap Adventure Radio program. That was Led Zeppelin, the Immigrant Song. And to my left, I have everyone's most favorite legal immigrant, Zoltan Varga. Zoli, what's going on, buddy? Welcome to the show.
Thank you. No?
Get that mic. I want that mic close to so everybody can hear you. I got Zoli on today because we were talking Constitution, Bill of Rights, the whole works. And I'm telling you, I think this guy knows it more than I do. It's just weird like that. When you're born in it, sometimes you can get lax with it. And when you're coming into this country and you got to know about it and the education system they have over there in Hungary and the way they learn, they take special. How long a time frame do you take for histories, American history? How long was the time frame?
It's about a semester, just the United States history.
Okay, so and the way you're schooling it, it's serious business. You're going to learn this stuff because you know it almost inside and out, Zoli.
Yeah, actually you start studying history in the first grade, and you restudy it again and again. Like 3 times you study from the first grade to the 4th, and then restudy it deeper from 5th to
and that's American history?
No, that's whole world history,
Okay.
Hungarian history, but part of the world history is the American history.
Now, growing up and going to school and learning that stuff, a serious question here, did you find American history interesting, or were you just a typical kid at school who's like, I gotta learn this stuff?
No, I always loved history, because if you learn the history, you can kind of predict the future.
That's right.
And you can learn about the mistakes of the past to not redo them again.
But in the course of your studying history, since you like history, did American history interest you more, and if so, why? Or was it just equal all around the board?
We can say it was equal on the board, because my favorite parts of history is, of course, they were the wars, and
Okay.
America has a lot
Spoken
of
like
them.
a true soldier, so okay.
America has a lot of them. If I know correctly, the numbers, there were only 20 years when
Sure,
America wasn't
we do about every 5
in a
years.
war
You
with
know?
someone.
Americans, so they love to fight. Okay. Well, look, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to prep this conversation by reading a couple things here, and then we're going to get into the Bill of Rights and see what you think about them and your opinions on it. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, numbers here is 254-697-6633. The first thing I want to do, I want to read a couple of comments from people of the past. One's Federalist Noah Webster. He's the famous individual, Webster Dictionary. And the other, of course, is Thomas Jefferson. We all know who Thomas Jefferson is. I hope. And I got this off of preparedpatriot.net. This is from Federalist Noah Webster. In a pamphlet aimed at convincing Pennsylvania to ratify the Constitution, warned that before a standing army can rule, the people must be disarmed, as they are in most every kingdom in Europe. But he believed that the supreme power in America cannot enforce unjust laws by the sword, because the whole body of the people are armed, and to constitute a force superior to any band of regular troops that can be, on any pretense, raised in the United States. Okay? Put that in the back of your head when it comes to Second Amendment. Now, Thomas Jefferson also favored individual gun ownership. In the model state constitution he drafted for Virginia in 1776, he included the guarantee that no free man shall be debarred the use of arms in his own hands. He had earlier copied into his commonplace book, the source for his ideas on government, these sentiments from On Crimes and Punishments, 1764, by criminologist, I hope I say his name, Cesar Beccaria. False is the idea of utility that sacrifices 1,000 real advantages for one imaginary or trifling inconvenience. That would take fire from men because it burns, and water because one may drown in it. That has no remedy for evils except destruction. The laws that forbid the carrying of arms are laws of such a nature. They disarm those only who are neither inclined nor determined to commit crimes. Can it be supposed that those who have the courage to violate the most sacred laws of humanity, the most important of the code, would respect the less important or arbitrary ones, which can be violated with ease and impunity, and which, if so dear the enlightened legislator and subject to innocent persons to all the vexations that the guilty alone ought to suffer? Such laws make things worse for the assaulted and better for the assailants. They serve rather to encourage than to prevent homicides, for an unarmed man may be attacked with greater confidence than an armed man. They ought to be designed as laws They ought to be designated as laws not preventive but fearful of crimes produced by the tumultuous impressions of a few isolated facts, and not be thoughtful consideration of the inconveniences and advantages of a universal decree. And according to a nephew, Jefferson was given a gun at age 10 and believed that every boy should receive one at that age. In a letter to another nephew, Jefferson wrote, "A strong body makes the mind strong. As to the species of exercises, I advise the gun. While this gives a moderate exercise to the body, it gives boldness, enterprise, and independence to the mind. Games played with the ball and others of that nature are too violent for the body and stamp no character on the mind. Let your gun, therefore, be a constant companion of your walks." That was in the 1700s, man. Okay, I just wanted to put that out there, put that in your data banks. Now, I want to read to you something else. Zoli, stand by. We're gonna extend a little bit past the break, so we got plenty of time. I'm going to read this couple more paragraphs, then I'm going to read the preamble. These are very important things to set up for our conversation. The first 10 amendments to the Constitution make up the Bill of Rights. Written by James Madison in response to calls from several states for greater constitutional protection for individual liberties, the Bill of Rights lists specific prohibition. Say that word. I'm getting tongue-tied.
Prohibitions.
Thank you. On government power. The Virginia Declaration of Rights, written by George Mason, strongly influenced Madison. One of the many points of contention between Federalists and Anti-Federalists was the Constitution's lack of Bill of Rights that should place specific limits on government power. Federalists argued that the Constitution did not need a Bill of Rights because the people and the states kept any powers not given to the federal government. Anti-Federalists held that a Bill of Rights was necessary to safeguard individual liberty. Madison, then a member of the U.S. House of Representatives, went through the Constitution itself, making changes where he thought most appropriate. But several representatives, led by Roger Sherman, objected that Congress had no authority to change the wording of the Constitution itself. Therefore, Madison's changes were presented as a list of amendments that would follow Article 7. The House approved 17 amendments. Of those 17, the Senate approved 12. Those 12 were sent to the states for approval in August of 1789. Of those 12, 10 were quickly approved or ratified. Virginia's legislature became the last to ratify the amendments on December 15, 1791. The Bill of Rights is a list of limits on government power. For example, what the founders saw as the natural right of individuals to speak and worship freely was protected by the First Amendment's prohibitions on Congress from making laws establishing a religion or abridging freedom of speech. For another example, that right to be free from unreasonable government intrusions in one's homes was safeguarded by the Fourth Amendment. Other precursors to the Bill of Rights include English documents such as the Magna Carta, the Petition of Right, the English Bill of Rights, and the Massachusetts Body of Liberties. Now, before I read and go over with Zoli the Bill of Rights, I want to read to you the very unfamiliar preamble to the Bill of Rights. I don't even know if a lot of people know there's a preamble to it. Here's what it says. Congress of the United States began and held at the city of New York on Wednesday, the 4th of March, 1789. The conventions of a number of states, having at the time of their adopting the Constitution, expressed a desire in order to prevent misconstruction or abuse of its powers, that further declaratory and restrictive clauses should be added, and as extending the ground of public confidence in the government will best ensure the benefit ends of its institution. Okay? So it's saying here, yeah, the Constitution's great, but we're going to make sure, just so there's no misunderstanding, we're going to have these Bill of Rights. Now, Zoli, what I want to do is this. I'm going to read each one, and I just would like your comments. I want to just hear your comments from somebody coming from another country into our land, why it's important to you, okay? The Bill of Rights. Amendment number 1. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion, or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble, and to petition the government for redress of grievances. And gentlemen, Trey, and Chief, you're more welcome to chime in. What do you think of that, partner?
First of all, the religion. One of the main reasons because peoples were immigrating to America back in the 1800s is they are technically fleeing from the Catholic Church from Europe. and that's why it's so important for the people here, the freedom of religion. Freedom of speech. I'm really happy you're wearing that t-shirt because, for example, for that t-shirt in Europe, you go to jail.
Okay, I'm wearing a t-shirt. You'll see it on the video. It says the experts agree, and I've got 3 symbols: the Nazi swastika, the Russian hammer and sickle, and the Chinese star with the other stars next to it. And it said, what's it say down there? Gun control works. Okay, obviously it's mocking it. So go ahead and say what you're saying now.
For that, for example, for the Nazi swastika in Germany, you automatically go to jail. It's a forbidden symbol, like the same.
And I get why they probably did that, but it's still a freedom of speech. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So that just goes to show you, don't. Some places can't have that freedom of speech, and we're so blessed to have it here.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's go to Second Amendment. Does anybody know what the Second Amendment is? Well, let me read it to you. A well-regulated militia, being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms should not be infringed. Now, let me make this one point clear. It is clearly noted and explained that you and I are the militia. You don't have to organize a militia. You are the militia. So that's where it comes from. Go ahead.
Yeah. Technically, as I can see and as I understand, the Second Amendment point is you have the right to protect your other rights. Like everything what is written in the Bill of Rights or in the Constitution, the Second Amendment gives you the chance to protect it against tyrannical government or against a foreign nation.
Does the Second Amendment have anything to do with hunting?
Not really.
Absolutely not. People get that screwed up. We had this discussion the other night, and that was basically, it has nothing to do with hunting. It has nothing to do with being able to buy a gun in the sense of, I can buy this gun or that gun. It was in there to prevent your government from going rogue.
Yeah, I always felt the Second Amendment was more sort of an insurance policy of the people to be able to protect themselves from the government if the need arose.
And since that is the case, and you hear this complaint about, they were talking about muskets. Well, if it's in there for the sole purpose to prevent your government from going rogue, you tell me how a musket's going to stop an M16, okay? So you have to equal firepower. Now, I get the point. We're not going to carry rocket launchers and all that. I get that, okay? Although it would be nice.
Couldn't use it.
But I'm gonna fight for the cause of having update modern firearms.
Let me chime in on that a little bit. I've seen court cases, I've seen people, especially those that are anti-Second Amendment, who said that their founding fathers, they didn't intend in the Second Amendment to mean people with semi-automatic weapons. You know what? They didn't intend anything. They intended to make it where people could carry a weapon regardless. The militia is our people protecting our country for whatever means necessary with whatever rifle they need. That's what the militia in my mind means.
Amen, brother.
But that's why it's so... it's not written down, you can have a musket or a flintlock pistol. It says you have the right to bear arms.
That's right. Absolutely.
Because, according to that logic, what you just mentioned, it's that what they meant. Then the First Amendment just was meant for personal presence and for written down. Then not for radio, not for TV, not for internet.
And there you go on that. All right, I'm going to move fast because time's ticking here.
Time's running out.
Time is running out. Okay, number 3. No soldier shall in time of peace be quartered in any house without the consent of the owner, nor in time of war, but in a manner to be prescribed by law. You want to explain that one?
Not really. It's technically just protection from the private property. So the government cannot just...
barge in your house unless we got major crisis going on, okay?
Ties to the Fourth Amendment.
Yes, Amendment number 4. The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrant shall issue but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. Now, I totally dig that. It's like, hey, we got probable cause. We got good evidence to show that this person's doing this, that, or the other, and we're law-abiding. We're here. We're sworn oaths to protect the law. And it falls into place, and we get a warrant from the judge, and it's good to go. I got no problems with that. So that safeguards us from it just being crazy, right?
Actually, yeah, and also they cannot just make you suspicious about something and go into your private property. Like they have to have a solid evidence, and
Right.
that's a protection for every individual. Is because like your neighbor doesn't like you and he reports the police, you are a crazy person, and the police cannot just go there and
that's why they have
report
a
your stuff.
system. So if there is something like that, it goes up to the judge, and the judge, hopefully with his experience or her experience, determines whether or not this is probable enough. If they sign a warrant, if they go, no, it's not good enough. Sorry, hopefully those are our checks and balances. Okay, let's go to number 5. No person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on a presentment of indictment of a grand jury, except in cases arising in the land or naval forces or in the militia when in actual service in time of war or public danger. Nor shall any person be subject for the same offense to be twice put in jeopardy of life or limb. Nor shall be compelled in any criminal case to be witness against him or herself, nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. Nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation. So basically, we're saying what here? We're saying,
You have the right to remain silent.
right to remain silent. They can't just come in and take stuff. They gotta have. They gotta compensate you properly.
And technically, that's also said is like you are innocent until it's not proved you are guilty.
That's the way it's
You
supposed to
cannot
work.
be just
Except with the IRS.
Okay, Amendment 6. In all criminal prosecutions, the accused shall enjoy the right to a speedy and public trial by an impartial jury of the state and district wherein the crime shall have been committed, which district shall have been previously ascertained by law, and to be informed of the nature and cause of the accusation, to be confronted with the witnesses against him, to have the compulsory process for obtaining witnesses in his favor, and to have the assistance of counsel for his defense. Hello, Rick Dodd. Benton Ross Watson, right? Amendment 7. In suits at common law where the value in controversy shall exceed $20. Should they bump that up into inflation? You know what I'm saying? They always do this. Well, back then it was $5, but in today's money it'd be $250. Would $20 be like $250 today? But anyway, the right of a trial by jury shall be preserved, and no fact tried by a jury shall be otherwise re-examined in any court of the United States than according to the rules of the common law.
Double jeopardy.
You wanna explain
Basically, that means double jeopardy. That means if you're found not guilty for one, the government can't come back and use that same evidence to prosecute you against another case.
Okay. Amendment number 8. Excessive bail shall not be required, nor excessive fines imposed, nor cruel or unusual punishment inflicted. We put that in there because obviously it was being done, and so we did this. It was written into the Bill of Rights because we wanted to prevent that from happening again. Now, Amendment number 9. We talked about this, Zoli, and I don't think a lot of people get this, unless I'm getting this wrong, which I don't think I am. The enumeration in the Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage others retained by the people. What that's saying is, we have it written down on paper, your rights. But even if there's a right that we forgot to put down, Amendment number 9 covers that too.
yeah. Actually, it's open, leaves the door open for
That's right.
with the time passing and the technological upgrading to get the new rights, like for the internet use and traveling and everything. The 9th Amendment technically opens up the door.
There you go. We're doing this pretty good. Time's looking good. Okay, 10th Amendment. This is a very powerful amendment. I mean, they're all powerful. But people forget how we can take things back from a rogue government by going back to the states. The power is not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states respectively or to the people. So whatever is not agreed upon can fall back to the states for them to make their own decision. Wouldn't that fall for abortion and give me some other topics?
Marijuana.
Open carry.
Open carry.
The scary part of that is how often executive order is used
Here lately,
to
especially.
bypass that.
I know, but can't they still override that even if it's an executive order? They can say we're not going to participate in that executive order.
The whole point, though, is that that power does not belong to the federal government in the first place.
Right.
And so using executive order to bypass that is, in essence, according to the wording of the document, illegal.
I don't want to open up a can of worms here, but the sheriff of a county has more authority in that county. He overrides any federal actions that go on. You may be able to correct
The sheriff of county is, he and the constables are she and he, whatever, maybe, and the constables are your strongest law enforcement agents within the county itself.
They could literally kick out federal intervention, right?
They
won't
could.
because
They
of the
won't
pressure.
because it's gonna come back to bite you some way. But yeah, they could technically.
Technically. Okay. So, Zoli, give me wrapping this up in the next minute or so. Just give me your bottom line opinion of the good old U.S. of A.
Well, basically, in the Bill of Rights and after that, overall, if I remember correctly, 17 amendments of the Constitution, the founding fathers give all the people who are born here or illegally came here and wants to live here every right what a person should have. And
being a person not of an American citizen and living in your country and other countries, giving me specific items that we talked about, like this T-shirt I'm wearing. We're, even though we've got a lot of problems, we're one of the best places to go for the freedom aspect of it. Would you not agree?
I agree. Like, you can see these protests and everything on TV, and many countries you just cannot do that because police comes and you end up behind the bars.
Yeah, we don't like that. That's not good. All right, look, time's ticking away. So what we're going to do, Trey, let's take a break. And Zoli, I can't thank you enough for coming on and sharing your opinions and views and values on that. But when we come back on the other side of the break, we're going to have Master Key talking martial arts. Don't miss it. She's got some good words of wisdom to talk to you about. So we'll see you on the other side.